It has not been a banner year for Hollywood in 2023, especially the summer box office season. We've seen two of the biggest flops in the history of all movies, including what will likely go down as the biggest flop, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, just beating out The Flash, which also came out this year. And it appears that Tom Cruise might be back for the save again. He already saved the box office 1 year. Now he's coming back a second try, and here to talk to me about that is my good friend Aaron Sparrow. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing well, Wes. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What the hell are Hollywood going to do when Tom Cruise decides he's not going to make action movies anymore?
Right now, the theater industry needs an action movie from Tom Cruise every summer because the other studios aren't bringing it. He's basically Atlas at this point, holding up the entire movie industry on his back.
There's a lot riding on this one, too, because once you get to some of the details, it's not a sure thing. But I have a feeling Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is probably going to be very successful, maybe the most successful movie of the entire 2023 movie-going season. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 ignited to $7 million on Tuesday previews, a solid start before the film opens nationwide on Wednesday. Comparisons are difficult because Dead Reckoning Part 1 is the first installment in a long-running series to debut on Wednesday rather than a Friday. But 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout, the most recent adventure anchored by Tom Cruise's Teflon operative Ethan Hunt, picked up $6 million in previews before launching to $61 million, a then franchise record. Paramount and Skydance's big-budget tentpole is projected to collect at least $60 million between Friday and Sunday. In its first 5 days of release, ticket sales for Dead Reckoning Part 1 are expected to reach $85 million to $95 million in North America and $160 million at the international box office for a strong global start of $250 million. $250 million is a lot of scratch. In fact, that is $110 million more than Indiana Jones or The Flash. That's going to be a pretty good start. And that's certainly even more than the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that end up doing over $800 million worldwide.
Yeah, this could be the Guardians right now is the one to beat at $850 million. This might be another $1 billion movie for Tom Cruise. The Mission Impossible franchise is really popular. The movies have just gotten better and better, with the exception of the fumble that was number 2. But I think everybody agrees from 3 onward, these have just been getting better and better. And it's the only movie that I have actually been hyped to go see this year.
It almost feels like Mission Impossible is the franchise that most people seem to think Fast and the Furious is. They just keep getting better and better. It's nah, the Fast and the Furious ain't getting better and better. It's getting more and more ridiculous. But I remember seeing Mission Impossible, the first one. I was in high school. I had a hot date. It was between that and going to see Twister. And unfortunately, I decided Mission Impossible was the one to go to. There were way too many twists and turns, and my date could not keep up with the goddamn movie, and I had to explain it to her the entire time. Maybe that's the reason I don't like it as much as the third one on.
Yeah, I didn't like the first one because I didn't like how they treated Jim Phelps. Because I'd watch the original show in reruns, in the afternoons when they'd come on, and so I was and I always liked the actor that portrayed him in the TV show. I even watched that weird late '80s one where they tried to revive it. I even watched that on TV. So I really liked Jim Phelps. So when they made him the bad guy in the first one, I did not like it. Spoiler alert, guys. Sorry if you haven't seen that movie. I don't know what to tell you. And then 2 was just awful because John Woo just went all in on the John Woo.
That's the Doug Ray Scott one, right?
Yeah.
He gave up playing Wolverine in the X-Men movie to play that villain in Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
All-time mistake.
And then he ended up
next thing you know, he's in the Batgirl fucking TV show.
It's that's watching an arc. Here's the window of opportunity missed, and then all the way down to Batgirl. It's kind of sad, but yeah, that's also the one where they kept doing slow mo. Ethan flipping and kicks and his hair whipping around not my favorite. But once 3 came out, and then you got up through Brad Bird's his film and all the way up to Henry Cavill, cocking his guns. It's just been great. It's been a fun ride. And that's all I want out of adventure movies. I don't need a message. I don't need it to be made for the world of today. I just need some solid action, a good plot, some twists and turns, and, beautiful men and beautiful women doing cool things. That's all I want out of an action film.
You know what the weird thing about Tom Cruise is? Obviously, he's one of the highest ranking members of the Scientology religion, cult, whatever you want to call it. And you would think, hey, he's Tom Cruise. He's got the opportunity to shove in anything that he wants. He could make all of his movies vehicles for Scientology or anything like that. But obviously, he's got a business sense, and he goes, I don't want to ruin my reputation in Hollywood, and I actually want my movies to be successful. So why don't I just make really cool adventure flicks with really good stories, and I'll leave the Scientology stuff to when I'm speaking off the record.
Yeah, and even there's an interview with Russell Crowe that I thought was interesting, where Russell said he was working with Tom Cruise and he kept trying to see if he would try to like get him into Scientology, and he would, so he was like, it's actually really funny. And Russell Brand's like, yeah, I don't know, Tom, I just wish that there was a way to feel better about myself in the future. And he goes, Tom Cruise is like, I don't know, man, like read your Bible or something. He's like, he never tried to like get me in, and he goes, and it just made me start to wonder, is there something inherently wrong with me? Like,
it's the Jesus Fish episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah,
when Putty he won't try and save Elaine's soul.
That's exactly what it was. So I don't think that he aside from appearances where he he goes out and he talks to the actual church members themselves or whatnot, it doesn't seem like he proselytizes much, and it seems like he just got a good business sense. The guy loves cinema. He likes making movies. He's realized that his niche is cool action stuff and not necessarily doing stuff like Vanilla Sky or any of those movies that didn't work out too well for him. And he came close to kind of like turning the audience against him with all that couch jumping weirdness with Katie Holmes, so he's kind of seen like where he could go off the rails, and he's smart enough to recognize it and not become like a Simu Liu or a Mark Ruffalo who is just always out there running his mouth about
Chris Evans.
Shit. Yeah,
I thought he was done after The Mummy, because I thought that movie was so trash. I was like, Tom Cruise ain't got it no more.
Everybody's got everybody picks a bad project every now and then, I guess. But then you go back to the well of what made you successful, and you get the audience back. People think really highly of him, even though he's part of Scientology, which people don't think highly of. So it's a weird dichotomy, but it's a balance that he struck, and it works for him.
Now, even if the movie does hit $250 million on its opening weekend, and even if it does as well as Guardians of the Galaxy and hits $850 million worldwide, it's not guaranteed that it's actually going to make money, at least for the studio. Dead Reckoning Part 1 needs to have similar stamina at the box office as some of these other high-performing movies. That's because it cost $290 million, a figure that skyrocketed due to COVID-19 related starts and stops and other pandemic-era safety measures. And the series isn't going anywhere. As the unwieldy title suggests, a sequel called Dead Reckoning Part 2 is in the works for next summer. Mission Impossible 7, which has been widely praised by critics, should benefit from reviews and word of mouth. Christopher McQuarrie returned to direct the latest installment, which follows Ethan Hunt and his team at the Impossible Mission Force as they work to take down a mysterious, all-powerful artificial intelligence known as the Entity. Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, S.I. Morales, Vanessa Kirby, and Palm Clemente round out the cast. And that is an absolute fantastic cast to have in a movie. How much do you think they had to pay for like insurance? Because I imagine strapping Tom Cruise to like the side of a jet and then flying it into the air gotta cost a lot of money on the insurance,
Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
Is it $200 million on insurance alone?
Do you think Tom covers that himself? Because I could see him doing it. Like the studio's like, dude, we can't cover this. Like, and he's like,
we can't strap you to a rocket and shoot you into space for real.
I really want to jump that motorcycle off the cliff.
It's not going to look right if I'm not there.
Yeah, it's like I can see him doing that. Just the stuff, and that's part of the appeal of these movies. It's like, what crazy attempt to kill himself is Tom Cruise going to do for this film? If they're smart, they film everything and then they shoot the stunt at the end of production, just in case. But it's part of what makes this appealing to the general audience, and what kind of makes people respect Tom Cruise, even though they might not respect all of his choices and all of his associations.
But $200 million is a lot of money. That's only $10 million less.
300 almost.
$290 million is only $10 million less
than they reported
Indiana Jones.
Budget. Yeah. Which, Indiana Jones is rumored to be much higher. But
it might need to make $900 million worldwide to break even.
I think it can.
I think it will, actually. I think it's going to go over $1 billion, but it's not a given.
No, it's not a given. But even if this one just ekes out a small profit, hopefully the next one, builds to the next one, and the next one has an even bigger profit. So it might be kind of a more long-term proposition.
Well, you hope that they filmed like the two of them together, and they've already done some work and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, to cut the cost down on the second one, so you can kind of balance it out over the two. And if they do kind of like shoot it back to back and treat it as one entity, then if it's, then you probably end up being in a lot better position. But yeah, it'll be interesting. These budgets have to come down on these films. And obviously this one was affected by COVID, and there were things that were out of their control, stop starts, and then the extra precautions, and Tom Cruise losing it on set. Like, do you want to get this production shut down? What are you guys doing? It's like, I get it. You're spent, like, that much money is being spent, and that much is invested in it, and that much pressure is on your shoulders. I can see, like, yelling at a few crew members that are walking around and doing stuff that's going to get you in trouble. But it's like, I hope it's successful. I do like this franchise. I'd like to see it continue, as long as they maintain this level of quality and, the cool factor that goes into these films. I'll keep coming back. And that's something that other studios need to learn. That's something that Star Wars, that's something that I don't think Lucasfilm forgot. I think when Kathleen Kennedy was put in charge, I think she never knew it. They've lost it with Indiana Jones. They're losing it on the MCU. The DC universe has kind of lost it. Lost it big time because they never really figured out what their plan was. Yeah, they never really had a plan. So, this is a good example to follow Hollywood, respect the fans, and give them what they want. These properties, Star Wars is a multi-billion-dollar IP. Do you know why that is? Because of the fans. Mm-hmm. The studios didn't make it a billion-dollar IP. The fans made it a billion-dollar IP. This Mission Impossible IP is an IP that Tom Cruise recognizes is worth money because of the fans who come and spend their money on it. And when you get away from that, when you think that you're producing art and that the plebs just need to fall in line and fall at your feet, that is where you are going to lose. And that's why we see Hollywood losing. That's why we see comics losing. That's why all of entertainment is in complete turmoil right now, because they've forgotten who the important people are. And the important people are the fans and the customers that pay for this shit.
It wasn't that long ago that Tom Cruise and Top Gun Maverick had to come and bail out Hollywood basically for an entire year of bad movies. It looks like it might have to happen again with Mission Impossible. And eventually Hollywood has to catch on that these are the types of movies that they want. This needs to break Hollywood in half and let them figure out what the fans actually want to see so they can actually have a good experience at the movies. Definitely check this video out in the video description as well.